Silverton. I'm back for the second week of 3 ingredients for brain health. If you missed my introduction last week, I am Kelly Prill, a naturopathic physician and functional neurologist. My passion is making brain health simple and accessible while offering new perspectives around nutrition and lifestyle choices. My practice here in Silverton combines natural medicine and functional neurology to help people regain clarity, energy, and freedom to live fully. I love educating, motivating, and empowering positive change one step at a time. I truly believe in the butterfly effect, and I love to hear how people move forward and grow. Today, I'm going to cover the second essential ingredient for brain health. I'll also talk about the current standard American diet and how food creates your brain's internal environment and why eating healthy needs to be a priority. You know you should eat healthy, but with the age of information overload and fad diets, it gets confusing on what is right. I will also leave you with 5 take-home tips to help you guide your next steps in your brain health. The standard American diet, often referred to as the SAD diet, contains foods high in refined sugars, animal proteins high in cholesterol, and highly processed packaged foods. The SAD diet is also low in fiber, complex carbohydrates, and vegetables. Research points to the SAD diet as a calorie-dense and nutrient-poor diet and part of the chronic disease epidemic. Cleaning up how you eat provides the right nutrition for a balanced brain and decreases inflammation. This topic is important because processed food makes up 70% of the US diet. Only 15% of people enjoy making their own food, and 50% reported hating cooking. These statistics are blatant signs that food as medicine is not a high priority. And it is interesting to correlate this with the fact that 60% of Americans suffer from at least one chronic disease. The second ingredient to brain health, if you haven't guessed it already, is nutrition. Nutrition is what sustains us. The food you eat daily is transformed into usable energy for the brain and body. Daily energy is dependent on how nourishing your diet is. Low nutrition provides little energy and overworked organs. High nutrition creates an efficient working system. Nutrition includes diet, but it is also reliant on how well you digest and process food. Gut health is paramount to nutrition, and when overlooked, is often a reason why people do not get better even when they do make healthy food choices. I'd like to do a quick basic overview of nutrition, and then we'll get into gut health and how it is essential to brain health. Proteins are the building blocks for brain chemicals, including ones that balance your mood, create memories, and allow growth and repair to happen. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin are made out of proteins, which help with the feeling of happiness, feeling motivated, and also feeling focused and calm. Eating a low protein diet decreases formation of these neurotransmitters, directly affecting the brain's ability to function. This can lead to anxiety, depression, and an inability to focus or finish something. Carbohydrates, we talked a lot about this last week, but they're needed for fuel. Glucose is the preferred source for the brain. Carbohydrates are important, but when you think about carbs, what comes to mind? Bread, rice, refined sugar. The reality is that carbohydrates are really only healthy when they are high in fiber, which means vegetables, legumes, whole fresh fruit, and healthy complex carbohydrates like quinoa and oats. Here's another fact that I find shocking is 95% of Americans do not meet the recommended daily fiber intake. That's almost everyone. As discussed last week, overconsumption of simple carbohydrates causes inflammation in the brain, leading to confusion, brain fog, and brain dysfunction. High fiber, low simple carbohydrate diets are best for the brain and wellness. But note, this does not necessarily mean a no-carb diet. It means high vegetable and legumes, meaning high fiber. The low-fat fad is finally leaving, and your brain thanks you. Your brain is 60% fat and uses fat as a fuel source when glucose is not around. The type of fat you eat is important. Monounsaturated fats are anti-inflammatory and protective to the brain. This is all the rave with fish oil. Saturated fats are more pro-inflammatory. Now, not all saturated fats are created equal. Unhealthy versions are the trans fats and the fried food. Anything that's high in omega-6s create inflammatory cascades that negatively impact not only brain health, but also heart health. Healthy saturated fats include coconut oil, grass-fed beef, and free-range organic chicken and eggs. Coconut oil is actually beneficial to brain health and may reduce the risk of dementia, but moderation is key. Healthy monounsaturated fats play an important role in memory and learning. These essential fatty acids help reduce inflammation and actually preserve cognitive function. Without healthy fats, the brain loses its ability to grow and function, and brain inflammation sets in. Note that fats are fickle and quickly change form when they're heated or cooked. Make sure you know which fats can be used for high heat cooking. Nuts and seeds must be eaten raw and unsalted in order to enjoy their essential fatty acid benefits. And then healthy fats also include seafood and avocados, olive oil. The take home here is that healthy fats are not bad for you and in fact are essential to your brain and the nervous system. Micronutrients include vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. These are necessary for the billions of chemical reactions in the brain alone. While proteins act like the body of a car to provide structure, the micronutrients provide the wheels. Without micronutrients, many networks and pathways in the brain would not work. This could be an entire course in and of itself, so I'm going to keep this simple. Micronutrients are found in whole foods, and they provide vital functioning within the brain. Without them, the brain declines quickly. In the media, micronutrients are very much used for marketing, like this one mineral or this one vitamin will improve the brain in some way. However, the best way to get the micronutrients you need is to eat a well-balanced, whole food, diverse diet and make sure that you are able to digest and use these foods. Food is medicine, and it works much more holistically when it's not picked apart. You may be asking, what does nutrition have to do with the brain? Turns out more than science ever thought. The brain controls everything, including how the gut functions. The brain and the gut are literally connected by the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs down the spine to all the vital organs, including the gut. This provides bidirectional communication between the gut and the brain, sending messages for digestive activity, appetite, and cravings. We talked a little bit about this last week. Brain cells, hormones, and proteins are used to send messages from the gut to the brain to the gut, and these all come from what you eat. Poor vagal tone, meaning the vagus nerve isn't toned the way that it should be, impairs brain function and can lead to brain inflammation and neurodegeneration. Adequate vagal stimulation is required for all areas of digestion and gut health. A simple way to tone your vagus nerve is to sing or gargle. The trick is, though, don't be shy. Sing like you're Adele, gargle aggressively. Do it several times throughout the day to help the gut and the brain communicate more efficiently. One-way signals between the brain and gut are sent is via proteins. These proteins literally walk up the vagus nerve into the brain. Now the health of the gut greatly affects the health of the brain. Proteins, healthy or harmful, can now be carried upstream. The health of your gut reflects the health of your brain and vice versa. Mood disorders, Parkinson's disease, memory loss, and brain lesions are all associated with gut health. Do you find certain foods alter your mood, personality, or ability to focus? Most of your serotonin, your happiness, patient, contentment neurotransmitter, is located within the gut. So if the gut is inflamed, it is no wonder that your mood and brain function are highly affected. Nutrition matters, and certain foods create inflammation, leading to a leaky gut and a leaky brain. The vagus nerve is getting a lot of press these days, and for good reason. The nervous system has two sides that deal with survival, vital functions, emotions, and stress: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic is the fight or flight, or also known as the run from tiger mode, and the parasympathetic is in charge of rest and digestion. These two systems are designed to work together in a balanced manner. These days, our society lives in sympathetic dominance, high stress, go, go, go mode. If your brain is constantly in sympathetic dominance, then the ability to relax and digest is no longer a high priority for your brain. Survival will always win. Mindfulness and meditation are multi-billion-dollar industries for a reason. We need to balance the system out. Living in sympathetic dominance uses up precious fuel and nutrition and is creating major brain dysfunction. Eating on the run, or while you're working on a project, or even driving, these are not relaxed states. How you eat, also known as food hygiene, is important in order for the gut to function well. If the brain is stressed or in run from the tiger mode, the message is either move the food quickly through the body or hold on to it for a while until we have the time and resources to deal with it. Either way, this creates a whole host of gut issues. It is important to know that the brain and the gut have a one-cell layer acting as a barrier between you and the outside world. One cell. Inflammation breaks this barrier down. Food is medicine, and a healthy diet and environment are mandatory for brain health. Unhealthy diets and toxins directly affect the ability of the brain and gut to protect themselves, leading to more symptoms. Again, these symptoms are often minor or normalized and therefore ignored. But it is time to start listening before major disease processes set in. All disease begins in your gut. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said this 2,500 years ago. This is not new information, but sadly, it's been ignored for far too long. Luckily, science is catching up, and leading research is addressing gut health, including the microbiome. The microbiome is a collection of microbes, including bacteria, fungi, viruses, and their genes that naturally live in and on the body. New research is showing that this microbiome is greatly contributing to the health of your brain and your body. The microbiome protects against pathogens, it helps the immune system to function, and is a major contributor to digestion and energy production. The microbiome is affected by many factors, including stress, diet, your ancestry, and the environment you live in. The microbiome is important for proper digestion, immune responses, and brain health. The balance of the microbiome is constantly changing based on external influences, like what you're eating and how you're living your life day to day. As medicine grows, changes, and catches up, the health of the gut will become more mainstream and a vital role for shifting collective health. The microbiome is strongly related to the brain because as the microbiome becomes unbalanced, the brain-gut axis is negatively affected. This imbalance begins as gut dysbiosis, and this causes many of these symptoms seen in the slide. The good news is dysbiosis can be reversed. Gut dysbiosis is often part of a dysfunctional gut. This is commonly called leaky gut. As related to brain health, a leaky gut can lead to a leaky brain, which can lead to brain inflammation, causing brain dysfunction and neurodegeneration. It's all connected. Leaky gut is not a disease or a diagnosis that you get. It is a functional description of the gut not working normally. Dysfunction means there is often a way to regain function, which is good news, whereas a disease is often not reversible. But because it is a physiological dysfunction and not a diagnosis, it is often overlooked. So what is leaky gut? I'm going to use a fence as an analogy to explain your one cell layer gut lining and leaky gut. A brand new fence is strong, sturdy, and provides a solid boundary. Over time, weather can cause wear and tear, and maintenance is required. Your gut works very similarly. Instead of weather, the enemy is inflammation, often caused by offending foods, high stress, genetics, and poor nutrition. Every fence plank represents one cell in your gut, and each of these planks are connected by what we call a tight junction. The fence planks are linked together like kids in a game of Red Rover. Nothing gets through. In order to get through, you must have the secret handshake and the password. Otherwise, you must be a force that breaks the barrier down. These tight junctions are vital to your ability to prevent the outside world from coming in. When these tight junctions are broken, pathogens, partially digested foods, and toxins can now leak through your gut into your bloodstream. Luckily, your body is wise, and 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. Your immune system is waiting to neutralize anything coming through that does not belong. It sends up red flags and alerts the rest of the body about the invasion. This creates inflammation, and you feel this protective mechanism as symptoms. If leaky gut continues, more inflammation occurs, causing more damage and increased need for the immune system's help. It becomes a self-perpetuating cycle of cell damage and more leaky gut, and the fence no longer provides a solid boundary. Leaky gut causes many issues. The leaky gut doesn't always equal gut symptoms. The immune system is moving through the bloodstream very quickly throughout the entire body. And this is why a headache, a skin rash, joint pain can be related to nutrition and gut health. Inflammation is the root of disease. Diet, environmental exposure, and gut health greatly influence either pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory states. It really is all connected. What messages are your brain and body trying to tell you? I love this picture because it shows the single cell layer of the gut on the right, but the mirror image here on the left is the brain's single cell barrier. The brain's barrier is known as the blood-brain barrier and operates very similarly to the gut's. Leaky gut equals leaky brain and can equal leaky gut. Remember, the vagus nerve is the connection between the brain and gut, and proteins, hormones, and pathogens can travel between the two. When the blood-brain barrier is compromised, the brain is susceptible to inflammation, infection, and dysfunction. Overall performance is affected with a leaky brain barrier, and brain fog begins to set in. Again, at this point, the brain and body are sending messages that are often ignored or normalized. Inflammation in your gut causes inflammation in your brain. The difference between a leaky gut and a leaky brain is that the brain does not have an off switch for inflammation. The rest of your body, inflammation comes on and off, but the brain, once it's on forever. Brain inflammation causes loss of brain function. Reducing inflammation is vital to the brain and the gut long term. While I'm not going to go into detail today about brain inflammation, you can go to my website, drprill.com, and you can download the free 15 signs your brain is on fire to assess if you have some of these symptoms and if brain inflammation may be an issue for you. Leaky gut can be triggered by so many things, but here are some of the most common. Refined sugar. We know it's not healthy, but now you understand why it's not healthy. Knowledge is power, and it helps the logical brain make more informed choices. Sugar causes inflammation, and inflammation is the root of disease. Sugar in high amounts breaks tight junctions, leading to leaky gut. And as discussed last week, it also creates major fuel imbalance within the brain. High stress is another trigger. Imbalanced stress causes inflammation and disruption of the tight junctions in your brain and gut lining. It also causes dysregulation of the vagus nerve and therefore the brain-gut axis. High cortisol not only damages the blood-brain barrier, it specifically harms neurons found in the hippocampus, which is where your short-term memory lives. Food allergies and sensitivities not only break down the fence or the gut lining with inflammation, but also create major immune responses that can eventually lead to autoimmunity. As leaky gut and inflammation ensue, your ability to absorb nutrients also decreases. Now, overall fuel and nutrition for the brain and body decline. The inability to process food and use the energy and nutrients leads to nutrient deficiencies, leading to low fuel and nutrition. Medications. Many prescription medications and some over-the-counter drugs can cause intestinal inflammation, especially when you take them long-term. Common medications can be problematic, like the ones in the slide. Unfortunately, these are the same drugs frequently used to treat inflammatory gut issues. This makes matters worse than if the root cause of inflammation is not determined and addressed. Pesticides like glyphosate found in Roundup are used around the world. There's residue on the food, in the air, and in the water. They tell us that low-dose exposures are not harmful, but the scientific evidence proves otherwise. While pesticides are problematic for many reasons, they actually decrease beneficial bacteria and reduce the microbiome's diversity. Glyphosate also promotes growth of harmful pathogenic bacteria in the gut and is linked to leaky gut and gut inflammation. Plastics are also problematic for so many reasons, but negatively impact human health as it is leaching into our food and water. BPA is the most famous one, and it specifically creates an overactive immune system and in turn causes leaky gut and gut inflammation, which can affect the brain health. Gut dysbiosis leads to leaky gut, along with many other issues. As for brain health, gut dysbiosis negatively affects the brain-gut axis by allowing abnormal proteins and pathogens to move up the vagus nerve to the brain. Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and multiple sclerosis have all been linked to dysbiosis. Constipation is a very early sign of Parkinson's disease that presents several decades before typical Parkinsonism symptoms appear. All three of these conditions have different microbiomes compared to those without these conditions. Research is still progressing, but one thing remains the same throughout. Food is medicine, and daily choices around diet and nutrition greatly affect your brain health. The good news is dysbiosis is reversible and the microbiome can be modified. As the microbiome is constantly changing based on stress, nutrition, and the environment. What are your symptoms telling you? What changes do you need to make? Nutrition is vital to brain health for so many reasons. You don't know what you don't know, but now you do. Start making the changes necessary to prevent brain dysfunction and regain energy and ease daily. Now that you understand the importance of this second ingredient, here are some practices to put in place right away. Again, for some of you, you may already do this, but see where you can fine-tune some of these things. This is a small list, but some of the biggest things I've seen help people change and improve brain function. Number one, Eat 6 to 10 cups of vegetables every day. This is the healthy recommended amount and far from what most people get. The most recent research shows that a highly diverse plant-based diet is most supportive to the microbiome and therefore brain. Vegetables are low-calorie and nutrient-dense foods. They're high in fiber, and they contain antioxidants which protect your brain from inflammation and provide micronutrients that support mood and memory. The fiber in vegetables, specifically the short-chain fatty acids, literally travel up to the brain and prevent inflammation. Challenge yourself. How many cups of vegetables do you eat now on a regular basis? Start with something realistic, like adding 1 cup of veggies extra each week. My father-in-law made a rule that he had to cook every dinner with 7 vegetables. And he's done this successfully for 30 years. Another way to get veggies in is to make 70% of every meal vegetables. You can also sneak vegetables into soups and smoothies. You can beef up your salads with other vegetables. But whatever you do, eat your veggies. Your brain is counting on it. Number 2, eating fat does not make you fat. These myths have finally been proven wrong. Yes, if you eat too many calories, weight gain can occur, but the quality and types of foods you eat are much more important. Most weight gain is caused by blood sugar imbalances and carbohydrate overload, as discussed last week. Overconsumption of saturated fats can cause weight gain, but are more so linked to inflammation. Monounsaturated fats are best for the nervous system. Your brain is mostly fat and needs it to function. A balanced brain diet includes 30% of healthy fats. And again, these include avocados, olive oil, seafood, nuts, and seeds. But remember, the nuts and seeds must be raw and unsalted in order to get the benefits. Cut out the crap. Replace refined sugar, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives with whole food. While it is everywhere, it shrinks your brain. Junk food has been shown to shrink the hippocampus, again, which is vital in making new memories and in spatial navigation. Recent research proves the brain is able to create new neurons in the hippocampus. One of the best ways to rebuild and repair this area is to just eat a healthy diet. Previously, we believed the brain could not make new neurons and we only had what we were born with. So this new research is very exciting, but also points to why continued nourishing nutrition must occur. As far as diet goes, just pick something to follow. If you need structure, do a diet. There's lots of great diets out there. If the thought of structure makes you feel trapped, don't do a diet. Pick some healthy guidelines to follow. Either way, diet and nutrition is individual to your health. Make it your own. Start asking yourself, what will nourish me today instead of what should I eat? If you're not sure what foods are triggering your gut symptoms, number 4 is to try an elimination diet. There are many versions of this out there, from the very simplified no gluten or wheat, no dairy, and no sugar. And there's more complex diets out there that are elimination diets like the Whole30 or the paleo diet. Commit to eliminating the most common inflammatory foods out of your diet for an entire month and see how you feel. Then pay attention as you add the foods back in and see which foods create which symptoms. This empowers you to understand the relationship between certain foods in your body and to make informed decisions in the future. Number 5, get help. You are one of a kind and therefore need personalized help. Every microbiome is different, and so is every brain. Nutrition is an entire science of its own. Learning what and how to eat and understanding if your gut is functioning well and knowing if the brain gut axis is intact can be really complicated. Sometimes it is easiest to get a personalized plan that addresses the whole of you. I could talk about nutrition and your brain all day, but the point I wanted to make today is that eating right is not a fad, it's a choice. Your brain health depends on proper nutrition to think, feel, and operate for as long as possible. Fight the social norms of processed food and refined sugar. Choose a balanced brain diet and feel the benefits for years to come. Eating well is a work in progress and one of the more difficult parts of being healthy. But it is worth it, and you are worth it. The better you feel, the more you can explore, invent, and get out there and live life to the fullest. Thank you again for joining me today for the second ingredient for brain health. I will be back next week for the third and final ingredient necessary for optimal brain health. Have a good day.